Hello everybody, welcome back. I wanted to start by saying hello with this beautiful setup I made today. I just picked up this Celestine today, really on a whim. I just thought it was really pretty and I don't know, I guess I'm getting into crystals slowly but surely. I have no idea what this stone stands for, I didn't look it up, but maybe it has some connection to the things that I want to discuss with you in this video. So at first I wanted to say hi in this manner, but I actually want to cut to the part that I filmed outside before it started to rain, so let's look at that beforehand. Hey everybody, today I wanted to talk about the Five of Cups in the tarot. Not necessarily this specific card, this specific deck. This is a Crow's Magic Tarot, which is just the deck I threw in my bag today, but rather about the energy that this card has, this card holds from me and many other people, I think. The Five of Cups here has keywords distance and ether, which I think is very interesting. Of course, the cups is the suit of water, and the 5 corresponds to the Hierophant, which is number 5 in the Major Arcana, and number 15, which is the Devil in the tarot. And 5 for me stands for this bridge between here and there, wherever there is. Usually it's the spiritual plane or, another realm. And that bridge means a change, means a transition. And for that, it does make sense that it's not such a happy time usually. The 5s are about transition, change, a certain growth, but it's usually a growth that we don't want, because it comes right after the 4, and the 4 relates to the Emperor or Temperance, and the 4 is such a stable number. It's actually the first stable number that we come across in the tarot, in the Minor Arcana, but also in majors. Before that, we have the 1, which is the action, the first action outwards, and then the 2, which is about the finding balance and being in between. The 3 is the first growth, and then the 4 is the first, okay, I have a stable ground, I have a stable plane. Now you see, I really like this 5 of Cups. I hadn't actually took it out of the deck before making this video, before filming it. This is a little bit on a whim, and I just feel like I need to talk about this very card, because it's important and it's difficult at the same time, which is of course something that comes back, which is a reoccurring theme, because as a tarot reader, of course a reading can be about anything, pretty much, but there are also plenty of readings I do that have the topic of loss, and that of course is very hard. So I want to talk about any 5 of Cups, the energy that this card holds. I do like this depiction. This deck is really strange. This deck is like no other deck I've ever seen. I feel that this is in space. We're looking at some planets, and also there are these little flames. They could be candles, but they could also just be these magical flames that are floating in space. And it kind of feels like a shrine to someone, or a way to honor someone, someone who has, is no longer with us. And the keywords distance is beautiful, because yes, the person's energy that we have lost can be very close to us still, but now there's a distance between, well, just simple life and death, of course, but also I am here still walking this earth, and the other person is somewhere else, is no longer here. So there's that distance. And then ether is of course this big void, and that is where we do not only feel lost, but we can also feel lost, because it is so huge. It's really, actually the 5 of Cups to me is an energy that is about being held a little bit, or actually the need for being held. The 4 of Cups actually to me is more about that. For instance, the 4 of Cups in a Marseille would really mean that stability in emotions, needing to be held in that sense, or holding yourself in that sense. Whereas if you would have the Rider-Waite-Smith in front of you, that is much more about that distance already. The 5 of Cups in the Rider-Waite-Smith did get this extra understanding, this extra energy, which is the Mourning card, Mourning with OU. So you can see someone standing in black, and we all know this depiction, I think, with this black cloak, really mourning the loss of these 3 cups that have fallen over, not seeing the 2 cups that are still there. Well, it's not only about getting out of your comfort zone, it's not only about turning things around and then focusing on the 2 cups that you still have, focusing on what you know, the energies that you still have, the love that you still have. Of course, it's an important message, but it's also important to focus on this very moment where you feel that there is that loss, there is that void, there is that emptiness, there is that distance, and also a touch is gone, a feeling is gone. A feeling is just a memory. Talking to someone is just a memory. Holding someone is just a memory. That can be really harsh, really difficult to understand. And for that, I feel that the 5 of Cups is such a interesting card, because holds such an interesting message. Because, for instance, in Thoth, the title is Disappointment, Lord of Loss of Pleasure. With the 5s, I often say that it makes sense. It's just part of the process, right? You come from the first stable number, the 4, where you think actually you're done, but then something happens that makes that stability, that fundamental security you thought was secure, that makes a break open. And it's necessary, because after all, the tarot is showing this process from 1 to 10 in the minors, right? So it's just the 5 is just this bridge between the first 4 cards and then the cards after that. But what I'm saying is that action, that breaking open, feels bad, because it's this change, and we are human beings, and we often say we go for change, but then when it actually happens, we're not really happy about it. That happens a lot. I just felt like talking about this specific card because it's about experiencing this moment of, oh, it can break. It is not endless. I don't have the Tarot of the Magical Forest with me, but when I pulled a card to feel the energy of that deck, some people call that an interview spread. Now, I don't do spreads, but I do pull a card sometimes. I got the 5 of Cups in that deck. I will insert an image of that deck. It's so sweet. It's a Rider-Waite-Smith clone, but that card is it's really dark and mysterious, and you can see it's at night because it's blue. I actually felt like, okay, this makes sense for this deck. But you know, this moment is very important, because it's as if it's about growing up in a way. It's as if, for people it comes too soon, of course, but it will happen more than once in your lifetime. It's just about, I don't know how else to put it, but okay, so things are not forever. And this shock of, okay, things end, or things change, which is pretty much the same thing if you look at it, it's difficult. And it's good to not ignore those moments, those feelings. That's what I think. It's important to embrace them as a learning moment. After all, the Hierophant, which is 5 in the majors, is this teacher. And what would tie into what I'm saying is that the Hierophant is the teacher of everything that is above, everything that is good, everything that is spiritual. And then the Devil, which is 15, is the teacher of everything that is below, which is also extremely valuable. Okay, welcome back. As I said, it started to rain that day, and well, this video is, I'm sure you've noticed so far, really is just me blurting out some things that I feel are related to the 5 of Cups energy. And it's not thought out exactly. I just really sat down and started talking, really. So in the part of the video that you just saw, that is filmed outside before it started raining a bit, I talked about the Tarot of a Magical Forest and the 5 of Cups and feeling comforted. As you can see, I have that deck here. Mine is trimmed. This deck is all Kelly Bear's fault. This is the 4. This is me outside before it started to rain. I actually made it rain that day, but this is the next day. For me personally, it made sense that this deck, these drawings that look so much like children's books, illustrations I know I've seen as a child somewhere, has, to me, 5 of Cups energy. It feels familiar and it brings up a sort of nostalgia. So nostalgia and childhood is very Rider-Waite Smith 6 of Cups, but you see, I know that this particular deck is rather one that makes me feel understood rather than trying to cheer me up. So it's just, the Tarot of a Magical Forest is just one of those hug decks, you know? But it's also gentle, but it's also mysterious. There's also a lot of depth. There's a lot of feeling in there. Plus, it's cute. And it's sometimes in these moments, these still moments alone with our cards, just as valuable and meaningful to get this card in a reading when we're not feeling all that great. Because us tarot readers often see our cards as another person, as a friend, and when the tarot shows a card with an energy we relate to so much, it feels like we are being understood. And I just wanted to share, isn't that all we ever want? Isn't that all we want? Isn't that all we ever want in life? To be understood. I must say the 5 of Cups is the card that I wanted to talk about, but this of course applies to any card in the deck because it's just I really felt this one because I had just done a reading the day before with the topic of loss for someone else. I think I also mentioned growing up. Growing up just means a perspective is changing. When we're small, we're small. We're young. But when we're supposed to be big, that is often when we understand how tiny we actually are. Okay, here I have somewhere the Devil. By the way, I'm talking about the Hierophant and the Devil because the Hierophant is number 5 and the Devil is number 15. Although I must say, I know that many people use numerology in the tarot in a different way. This is the first, actually this is not the first approach that I've ever learned, but the first approach I've ever learned was connecting the Magus, for instance, which is 5, to Art or Temperance, which is 14, because 1 plus 4 is 5. But the way I'm using it now is simply looking at which actual numbers are in the number. So 5 would correspond to 15, you know what I mean? And this just makes more sense to me these days because I tried out both and these connections just feel more connected, I guess. But I suggest, as always, that you explore this for yourself to see what makes sense to you. So when it comes to the Devil, which is Arcana number 15, the Lord of the Gates of Matter, to me, I just wanted to mention that because that makes the feeling that is connected to this energy real, because you bring it down to earth, right? Let's find the Hierophant. Oh, sorry, I think I said Magus before. That's because it's the Magus of the Eternal Gods, but of course it's not the Magician. We're talking about the Devil and the Hierophant. So here we are, the Hierophant from the Thoth. I love this one. So yeah, the Hierophant is called the Magus of the Eternal Gods, and this key is the uniting of the Macrocosm with the microcosm. I just love that. Coming back to one of the keywords of the 5 of Cups of the Crow's Magic Tarot, distance. I think a big part of it is that we try to make this distance shorter. When we really look at this card, when we choose kindness, when we choose to at least try to understand. You know, don't you just take a look at this card and imagine you're the person watching this figure going through something shitty, don't you just want to help? Right? And of course it's a mirror, of course it's cups, of course it's water, of course it's a mirror. So you are going towards that person, towards that creature, helping out, and you're ultimately helping yourself. I actually think that it's nice that this card is called disappointment, loss of pleasure. Because in a way, this implies that our natural state is one of pleasure, of enjoyment, and that this is just a stage, and this is just a state wherein when this pleasure is gone, is lost, there is a lack, there's a distance between you and it. Kind of as I realize that, we tend to say when a window is left open, the cold is coming in, but actually we should be saying the heat is leaving. So after all, going through these types of feelings is simply something that nobody can escape, because it's a part of what it means to be a human being. Allowing in these feelings is actually a natural process in my mind, isn't it? When we live fully. And when we feel all of it. I think that's all I wanted to say today. Let's go back to the part that is filmed outside, because I did have some other things to say, although you will hear the sound isn't great at this point, but I hope that won't matter. Enjoy the last little bit. It's good to look at the tarot as trying to understand, and someone or something out there is trying to understand you as well. So it's this mutual conversation, this mutual talking and then listening. It's both. It's just becoming friends, right? Because real friends don't only talk, they also listen, and vice versa. There's just space for both. And maybe that keyword in the Crow's Magic Tarot, distance, doesn't only mean this gap, this severed connection between you and someone else or something else, but it actually also means space. There is space for you. There is space for this other person being. There is space for this other energy that is a part of this equation of these very complicated feelings, but we'll all go through them. We all go through them daily. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this spilling of words and was able to make sense of it a little bit. This is just really a random video, but I kind of went with it. I'll see you soon.